Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second. Tonight is not live though, so it's going to be Make Every Second pre-recorded edition because tomorrow, right now, when I normally do the show, I will be speaking at a program in Dayton, Ohio. It'll be really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Feel free to leave as many comments as you'd like. Help us trick the algorithms by liking and giving us hearts and smiley faces and stick your tongue out at us. It doesn't matter. Just give us some reactions over and over and over and over. Make it look like you're a redundant robot. And then I ask you if you would please share this video out, invite all kinds of people to watch it, and we will have a fantastic show. Guys, I love this, so enjoy. I would like to bring up Lesley. Hey, Lesley.
Hello, Jeff.
How are you doing?
So far, so good today. How about you?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. So, I would like you to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell who you are, where you're from, what you do, and more importantly, why you do what you do.
Sure. Well, my name is Lesley Moffat, and I'm a mom of three, and I'm also a music teacher. I've been a band director for this. I'm finishing up my 34th year this week. Um,
Wow.
Mostly high school band, but middle
Wow.
school band as well. And I live in the Seattle area and absolutely love what I do. Um, I've, like I said, been in the classroom, but then I also have had some experiences, which I know we're here to talk about, um, that have led me down another path that concurrently to also work with other teachers because I went through some pretty tough stuff with my own personal physical and mental health and well-being as a result of stress and illnesses and my job, and it almost took me down a pretty bad path. And so uh, I had some experiences that turned my life around, and I've turned those into books and into ways to help other teachers so that they can do this work because it's so amazing. It's pretty awesome to teach, and I want people to be able to do this in a more sustainable way. So
That's awesome. That is one of the keys of this show is about helping other people deal with what they're dealing with in order to live their best life. Because I know it is possible because I do it every single day. Now, I would like to go ahead and jump into how your job was killing you.
Well, with a high school band job, first of all, the hours that we keep are pretty tough because my first class started every day at 6:30 in the morning. So I had to be at school at 6. And when I had 3 of my own children, or I was pregnant at the time, some of the times, or raising 3 kids and all, it was hard to go be at school that early and teach all day. And then after school rehearsals, and then football games and basketball games and concerts and field trips and fundraisers and meetings, all the things that would keep me going till late at night. And so even though I was paid to work like a 7 or 8 hour day, I was working 12 to 14 hours a day, and my health was terrible. About 5 years ago, I hit a real low point. I had had it that by then 12 major surgeries. I have so much titanium and rods and screws in my neck and back and hips and replacement body parts, and I've had organs removed. I was pretty sick. And I was on 14 pills a day, different prescriptions for pain medication and management, and ADHD and anxiety and depression and inflammation and so much. And my body was hurting all the time, and I was uncomfortable, and I couldn't focus, and I was
I
not doing
understand.
well. And so I couldn't go to work a lot of the time because 'cause I'd be sick, and I would be in a hospital or things like that, and the chronic stress, was killing me, literally, and my doctors were like, "You can't keep going." And I realized that, so, yeah, so when about 5 years ago, I managed to turn things around, but it was a lot of work.
Wow, that is crazy that you experienced all that from something you love to do. And how did it take its toll on you? I mean, besides all the medicines and surgeries and doctors and other things, did it take more of a toll, like mentally or anything?
It did. My head, I like I said, I had my own 3 children to think about, so that every mom and parent out there understands that that takes a lot of your capacity, and then I had 300 teenagers a day I was responsible for, and that is a lot of bodies and a lot of people to be around and a lot of activity and, management and just a lot, and so my body was just on constant overstimulation. Every 55 minutes, a new batch of 50 kids would come in my
Hmm.
room with loud instruments. I was overwhelmed with just overstimulated all the time. Again, it was fun and all, but boy, it was a lot of work, and there was no time to rest. And I'd go from being a mom to being, get my kids ready for school and up in the morning and hurry through that, get to school, teach all day, come home and make meals and help with the homework and try to do the laundry and all of those things, and then turn around and go back the next day. And so what was last on the list was to make sure that I was doing
Yeah,
okay, and
take
so
care
I
of
would my body would finally shut down over and over because I would work, 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 and get past this deadline and that deadline, and then when it would be over or I would hit my own capacity, then it would be like my back would seize up to the point where I couldn't work through it even with pills. And so then the surgeries came along and the, back braces and all of the things that we had to use Band-Aid type treatments, taking pills and doing that because I couldn't fix the root cause. I was always trying to cover up what was going wrong. And I didn't understand that that wasn't a healthy way to keep going.
Yeah, I think that is a big thing in jobs and at work and even in somebody's personal life that they put band-aids over their problems. They don't necessarily fix the issue. They do a quick pressure release on that situation, and then that makes it worse in the long run.
Yeah, and that's what all those pills and everything just it made it worse in the long run. There were side effects of all of those and the dependency on them, and that wasn't a healthy way to live. And
No.
all this yeah, the side effects of some of those things were worse than some of the
Huh.
original things that were going wrong? Ugh. And I just I wasn't me anymore. I had lost sight of who I was, and um, and the reason I have the title for that book is my best friend Lori was a choir teacher, and we were the same age, and we neighbors, and our kids are the same age, and the like. And we used she ended up with ovarian cancer, and when she would be in chemo, or we'd be hanging out at her house when she was so sick, but still working. We'd sit at the laptop, still trying to work, even though we were not there. We'd be like, "Oh, I love my job, but it's killing me." Even when we weren't there, we were still having to connect and still kind of run things because it was just the expectations were that were so much for one person.
Yeah,
There weren't the resources to make it sustainable.
that's loco. So, how did you move from "I love my job, but it's killing me" to love your job, lose the stress?
I did of several things. One is I got my own self in a healthier mental and physical frame of mind, right? So that I could be more focused, I could be less bothered by all the things going on, and I had to really stop and step back and take
Now, may I ask how you did that?
in the quest to get healthy, I stopped going to Western medicine. I stopped doing a lot of the things I had done, the same old doctors with the same old pills, and I started doing different things. Started seeing an acupuncturist, doing yoga, which that was so hard for me. I was like, "I can't do this, it's too hard, I have to be quiet, what?" It was just, it was hard, but I tried all these different things because and chiropractors, and I saw got counselings for help, and I learned strategies. I had someone come into my office. I wanted to go off my ADHD pills because I didn't like the side effects of those, but I still have the effects of ADHD, so I had to go in and set my classroom up in a way that was more conducive to allowing me to stay focused and not be distracted by disorganization, for example. So getting organized and having routines that the students and I could depend on so it wasn't so hard to do things because we knew what to expect. We practiced routines, we practiced doing things. And I learned the power. of using our breath to calm our bodies and our minds down.
Breath
And
work.
it's the breath work, and as a musician, it's all about vibrating, right, and getting
Yeah.
set in a vibration. So I taught my students how to do that with me, and we spend 4 minutes at the beginning of every class calming our brains and bodies down so that the atmosphere in my classroom now isn't chaotic. We all come in and we de-escalate from whatever's gone on every single class period. And so it becomes suddenly much less stressful when you teach the students. I teach them all these other complicated skills to play instruments. Now I've learned to teach them how to first relax so they can take in everything I want to teach them instead of coming in all confused and been in the halls with their friends. And so I've created a space within myself and now within my classroom where
That's
the stress
great.
levels just let's diffuse everything at first, and then we dig into content. And it's so much easier.
That is fantastic. I absolutely love that. But I'm going to put you on the spot here. So, can you do about a 2-minute abbreviated reducing, like your whatever you do with your students? Can you take us through 2
To
minutes of
demonstrate
that?
that?
Yeah, can you do that?
Sure, sure. Now, if anybody's listening to this while driving a car or something, they would need to like shut this out for 2 minutes. But yeah, what I do with my students, and I'd invite anybody to do it right now, and I'll do it in a very abbreviated way. But
I'll
you can
do it
imagine,
too. I
yeah,
got
I
you.
just I just invite my students. Now at school, I put on an audio YouTube thing of 528 hertz to make just some that sound in the background, so we hear that. And then I just invite them to bring their bodies into a really comfortable position and to be still. And then I say, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And as you notice how you feel today, breathing in deeply and exhaling, and maybe on your next exhale, you allow the muscles in your face and tongue and jaw to soften. And let's take another deep inhale, and maybe you exhale again, and you allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears, and your arms and hands get heavy wherever they are. Just let them rest. Take another deep inhale, and as you exhale again, can you feel how your back, sits bones, thighs, and feet anchor you into your chair? Bless you.
Excuse me.
And can you just allow the muscles in your body to begin softening towards the earth? And at this point, you can feel like 50 students in a classroom just suddenly becoming very still. And then I invite them to take 10 slow breaths with me. And I count from 1 to 10. And I just ask them to take in as much air as they're comfortable taking in. And on each exhale, allowing their muscles to just become heavier and heavier. And if you can imagine just taking 10 deep breaths in the matter of a minute or two, what happens to your heart rate? As you take deep breaths, what happens to the worries that might be in your mind as you start to focus on how your body feels? And after we do this, just for a couple of moments, then my students and I start to reverse that process after I've counted from 1 to 10 to relax them. Then I say, let's start wiggling our fingers and toes and stretching and yawning. And we start to breathe deeper. And I count from 5 to 1 and we reverse that relaxation. And everybody comes back out of that relaxation. And then I invite them to open their eyes when I get back to 1. And when they float their eyes open, we just start our rehearsal.
Namaste.
And it's just, it's sort of like taking a snow globe that's all shaken up. Imagine 50 teenagers coming in your classroom with instruments like, right? And if I just took that snow globe and I was running around the classroom showing it to people, they wouldn't really see what was inside because of all the glitter. But if I just set it down for a minute or two, all of that glitter falls down and it makes way for whatever's inside. So there's a clear vision of what's there. And that's how it is in the classroom. We let all that excess energy that's not serving them, all the worries, all that teenage growing up hormone stuff, we let it settle in. And when they practice that day after day after day, their central nervous system, like that, they can calm down in a heartbeat. They tell me they use it before they take tests, before they give speeches in classes, before job interviews, when their parents are fighting. All kids tell me all these different times that they use this technique. And so I think that's probably the most important thing I teach them because that teaches them to self-regulate. People that can't self-regulate turn to drugs and alcohol to help them self-regulate, to help them calm down. And I know what that's like. And I know what it's like not to have to do that anymore.
Wow.
And I want to empower people to not have to do that.
That was awesome. If you guys out there like that, put a number 1 in the comments. I'm just curious if you all participated the same way I did. And well, I hope you didn't sneeze during it, but because I did. And thank you for blessing me. I appreciate that. So what has been the effects on your students doing that?
Funny you should ask because I surveyed them just last week. And I was it 97% of the students said that they noticed that are doing that every day helps the other students in the classroom calm down. And I think 96% said that they personally almost every day feel their heart rates and feel that relaxation. And so when you're doing something like that, now the first day we do it in class, it takes time for them to practice it. But since
Yeah.
we practice it every day, my little ninth graders come in, and at first, when there's a whole bunch of them in the room, they're like, "Oh, this is awkward, and it feels weird." So I teach lessons about why this is important, and I share my personal story at the appropriateness level with teenagers, so that they understand that this is a tool that I use to help me. Just like when I'm trying to teach them to do something on the piano, I demonstrate and I
Yeah.
show them, "Look, I know what I'm talking about because I can do this. So let me show you the tools I have." And then they want to know if they want to know how to play something, they trust me. So when I say it's easier for me to teach and for you to learn if we're relaxed, and they agree with that because they know what it's like to be in a classroom when the teacher is distracted because they have to get other students calmed down, and they're wasting time on discipline, and nobody wants to be in a classroom like that. So they appreciate this. They actually say to me, "Don't we got to do mindfulness?" If I start with something else, if I like start to make announcements, "Wait, we didn't do mindfulness," and I'll be like, "I know, I will get to it, but we didn't do it." They like starting with that grounding.
That is wow. That's nothing short of amazing. But I have to ask, do you have any suggestions for other people that want to keep the same job but lose that stress?
Well, what I did is because it was affecting my physical and mental health so much, I knew that I needed to support that better. So I created what I call my M Power method, the letter M, because I had 4 areas that I really focused on to help me go from book 1 to book 2, basically. And the 4 areas in my life that helped me really turn things around, and the clients that I work with, the teachers that I coach, we focus on this. We focus on a mindful approach. So being mindful, being aware of our habits.
Hey, if you guys can please put these in the comments so they're there if other people need them. But number 1 is mindful.
Yes, and then I go into chapter about, you know, mindfulness. It means being aware of the choices we're making and the habits we have, and then, noticing, do these habits and the like serve me or not? And then the 3 areas where being most mindful paid off the most for me, and I encourage others to go to meals. We have to be careful with what we put in our bodies. And our society makes it so hard to do the things that our bodies need because, it's hurry, hurry, hurry and processed foods and all of those things. And when we put stuff in our bodies that doesn't work for us, we can't process it. It doesn't make us feel good. It doesn't help us heal. So paying attention to what we put in our bodies matters. So meals, movement. We have to move. Um, when I was in so much pain and was on all those pain pills, it was because my joints would get stiff. Well, it hurt to move because I was overweight and was putting too much, there was too much weight for my frame to support. So that's why the joints were hurting so much. So I had to get more movement. Once I got more movement and, my joints could move easier, the more I did it. And so finding movement that was helpful. My husband, he's in his 60s and he does his movement of choice is ice hockey. Now, that's not me. Movement for me is walking and doing yoga. So finding the right movement is all that matters. Some people like weightlifting, other, whatever, but just moving our bodies, we were meant to move. And our jobs and our society are not conducive to that. So we have to be mindful to make sure we do that because our bodies need that. And then finally, the final piece is music. Music is such a powerful tool. We vibrate. I spoke about that already. I turn on that 528 hertz vibration. I sleep with that vibration going in my head. It's just that sound to get my body to relax. We can use music to put us in a good mood. We can use music to help us focus. We can use music to make us dance or move, to exercise. Or a lot of us who are musicians can use music to play by ourselves, to express our artistry, to communicate and commune with others through our ensemble playing. So between being mindful of the music and the movement and the meals that we consume, that changes everything. But it's hard work. But you know what? It's hard work to be sick and to go to doctors and to take
Yeah.
pills and to do the therapy. So I just picked a different hard.
Yeah.
And I like these results better. And so that's my new mission in life. And I've been doing for the last 5 years is working with teachers and especially music teachers because I get the struggles. I understand it. I know what it's like to be a working mom and having long hours and having to fix meals and help with homework and do those things. And so bringing others on board, your children, the people you work with, the students, into the habits and the healthy things that you can. I can't go to school and teach my kids all the things about eating right and exercise as a music teacher, but I can do some of the other pieces and I can model other things for them. So anyway, it changed my life so drastically when I changed some of my habits that I'm like, how can I not share this? Just
Yes.
like if I were watching a student struggle with something on a clarinet and I was like, your reed's broken. You know, if you put a new reed on, it would work better. But if I didn't tell him, it'd be really, and if I watched him struggle, that'd be mean.
Yeah,
So
that'd be awkward.
I don't want other teachers to struggle any longer than they have to.
That's understandable. And that is respectable as well because a lot of people aren't like that these days. And when you find somebody that is genuinely kind, it's amazing because the whole world should be like that. So you were talking about your books. Now, I love my job, but it's killing me. And love the job, lose the stress. Now, these are the two books, correct?
Yeah, those are them.
All right. And how what can people expect if they get them?
Well, the first book, I Love My Job, But It's Killing Me, is really about getting your own self healthier. Um, and I, as a teacher, I made little quizzes, right? Because that's what teachers do. So there's quizzes that you can do to assess where you're struggling the most, and then it helps you figure out where do you start your journey. So that's what the first book does. Is it helps assess the different areas where you can look like in your meals and what are you eating and what you're exercising, your movement that you're doing, and what do you do in these areas, what is helping you and what do you want to keep doing and what do you maybe want to change, and it takes you through that. The second book is more about when you've established habits for yourself, how do you go into your classroom and help your students have a more stable grounding experience so that when you teach content they're more focused, less stressed, and they can really take in what you're teaching. And so it would be it really in the order they're written so that that first one helps set you up so that you've got the skills to teach it to your students. So if you're in a place where you've already got, your own self together and you're feeling pretty good, but now you want to take it into your classroom, you could start with that second book. But they really work nicely together, I think.
That is wow. I just shocking to me. So, but where can people get the books if they want to get them?
Well, they're in a lot of bookstores carry them. You can get them online through almost any bookstore, from Amazon to JW Pepper to all of them. So, and the
That's
print book, audio, or ebooks availability.
that's cool. And I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy evening to be here with me. But is there any other contact information you would like people to have?
That's my website that you've put up on the screen, and I'm just Lesley, Lesley, at MPoweredEducator.com. So if anybody wants to reach out, I check my own email, but if you want to reach out, I do complimentary consults with folks that are looking for which book should I start with, or especially summertime now as teachers are trying to figure out how can I have the stamina to do this work next year. If folks have questions or anything like that, they can reach out to me personally and I'll reach back.
That That I can't believe that. You're just so kind. And I really do appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate being able to talk
Yes.
to your audience.
I appreciate it too. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday evening. Remember, I'm Jeff Markinet Jr., the award-winning international Make Every Second Count speaker, and I'm reminding you of two things. First one is we're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with a different guest. And if we don't have a guest, I'm still here doing the show myself. And the second thing is please, please, please know that you have to make every second count. Why, you might ask? Because you never know when those seconds are going to run out on your one life. Hey, you guys have a fantastic evening, and I'll talk to you again later. Thank you again, Lesley.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.